welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, Ernie White, a civil rights activist who is one of the organizers of the pro-American rallies that are occurring at this moment and have occurred in Murrieta. Ernie, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Jamie.
So look, let's get right off the bat. I want to talk about some of those demonstrations that you helped organize. But before we get to that, is what we are seeing on our southern border an invasion?
It looks like it's an invasion. It looks like it's a staged invasion, and it appears that our government actually has caused this invasion. One of the problems that we're having on our southern border is our government has actually put together in 2008 a bill that said anybody but Mexicans can come over this border, and if they make it, they can actually get asylum, they can get citizenship. And so that's one of the things that we have to change. That's one of the laws that we have to change, but that is actually a law. Bush had it voted on before he left office. So we have a real big problem at that border. We've got people coming over that border, we don't know who they are. And the one thing that happened in Murrieta, the citizens of Murrieta said no. They just simply stood up, they held their ground. They found out that a lot of these people were coming here from MS-13, they had diseases, and you're starting to hear about all those diseases now. You're hearing the Border Patrol agents are starting to get sick. So again, you had all of these citizens simply trying their best to do whatever they could against a government that right now seemed to just be running over the people and not really caring about the people.
Ernie, let's just crystallize a few issues that you hit on. Number one, Obama has made it clear that he has no interest in enforcing U.S. immigration laws.
That's
right?
correct. That's
so
correct.
He sent that message out.
That's correct.
I am not going to enforce the laws. And so therefore, if the commander-in-chief is not enforcing the laws, it gives a green light for people just to stroll across the border.
That's right. I went to an amusement park like over the weekend. And you know, you're standing in line for a roller coaster ride. This is like the person saying, you know what, if you, after you've stood in line for 3 hours to ride one roller coaster for about a minute, if you jump the line and just jump in front of everybody, guess what? Get on that roller coaster and start riding, while the rest of us simply sit in line and keep waiting our turn, but our turn never comes up because the people keep jumping the line and keep getting on the roller coaster. And so, yeah, Obama has said, keep getting on that roller coaster. We're not going to stop you. We're not going to do anything about it. Just keep coming over. And how long can we do this as a country before we burst and we won't have our country?
And so, Ernie, many people believe, you among them, that there is a political agenda here. This thing is staged, it's manufactured, it's choreographed. And what we see now, would you believe in this statement, some of the things you've said and written? Obama is dumping busloads of newly arrived illegal aliens on small-town America to force his so-called immigration reform. So in other words, he's actually doing this on purpose, whether it's indirect or direct, but they're dumping these illegals into middle-class America.
Right.
And it's a way to hurt middle-class people, to hurt the middle class, and to pressure them into making certain decisions to help the Democrats.
It seems like they're trying to make us submit. That no matter, if you don't like the rules, if you don't like what we're going to do, if you don't like the way we're going to transform this country, we're going to force you to submit. And you're going to take it, like it or not. And what happened is, right now with our government, it appears that nobody seems to care about the people. We don't have Republicans or Democrats that are standing up for the individual. So the individuals that have to go out into the streets, the individuals who basically are, let me be honest with you, a lot of those people are scared. They don't know what to do. They've never done anything like this before. They've never stood up for their rights before. These aren't professional, organized people. These are people who didn't know what else to do. The government wouldn't help them. They made all the phone calls. They were told to call their congressman, call your local city council, call this, call that. They didn't know what else to do, so they went out into the streets. They stood their ground. They stopped the bus. And, you know, they weren't stopping children. People keep saying, what about the children? Those people that stood in front of that bus weren't stopping children. They were trying to stop an out-of-control government that's just running them over.
Thank you, Ernie. Now, you led some grassroots activists in Murrieta using the tactics of civil disobedience in your effort to block federal authorities from busing in hundreds of these illegal immigrants who have snuck in through the southern border. And some debates broke out. Let's show a clip of some debating that occurred during these rallies.
extremely disrespectful.
Can I ask you a question, though? Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
The same question I asked this brother.
Right.
If somebody brought 6 children to your house,
Absolutely.
right, 6 children to your house,
Yes,
and you ain't got no job,
Yes, sir.
are you going to take them in?
Did I kill their children? Did I kill those
I didn't
children's
say nothing
parents?
about killing children or colors or races.
Okay.
They brought 6 children to your house. What are you to do?
Here's my problem.
What are you going to
Here's
do?
my problem.
Are you going to try and find out where they came from?
Yeah, right.
Are you going to try and take them back? Or are you going to try and go out there and try to take care of these children and the children that you got that you can't even take care of already?
I'm going to do whatever I can to help.
So you're going to make the problem big.
I'm not going to let my children starve to stay
But my whole deal is, what are we going to do for the people that are here that's starving already? What's being changed now, today? Why we not protesting now for the motherfuckers that's sleeping on the streets in LA? Why we not protesting now for that? We got our own people that are starving and hungry. And we sitting there fighting over more people being put on the table.
A bunch of the people who came here were at Occupy LA protesting for the homeless, protesting for these things.
But why would you add to the problem? Why would we accept people to come here?
Stand on the Mexico border. Stand on the Mexico border to stop those kids from coming here. Help them. That's the sympathy.
Wow, you know what? I'd have to say I'm on the side of that gentleman in terms of a lot of the themes he's saying, in the sense that America already has a lot of problems now. Why are we going to take on more problems when we already have unemployment and poverty, etc.?
Right. It was great. You know, I got that video. It's got over 200,000 hits. It's gone crazy all over the country, and people are realizing that this was not like a racial issue, that we have people here that are starving. We've got veterans, we've got children here that are hungry, that are homeless. And yet here we are trying to take on something that we can't even handle. We're seeing diseases that we've never seen before. We've got children right now who can't make it to a hospital. And yet we have a president that says, hey, let's get $4 billion for strangers to be able to get to a hospital. We have people that can't get a lawyer here, but we're going to do $4 billion to pay for lawyers for illegal immigrants. So again, it's like, how much of this can we take? And what about the people that are here? What about us? When do we start caring about our children? Because those people, again, who were standing in front of that bus, were trying to protect their children from what's coming. And don't listen to everybody telling you that this is just about children coming on those buses. It's not. You've got MS-13 coming on those buses. You're hearing the gangs are already recruiting off of those buses. And tonight, you know, I can tell you right now, even though we stopped those buses, they're still being dropped off at the churches, and the churches are getting paid. They're being dropped off at the NGOs, the non-government organizations, and they're all getting paid. So again, we may have stopped it just for a while in Murrieta, but they're still getting dropped off all over California and the rest of the country.
Ernie, in terms of even these diseases coming in, something that I saw you write, that you think that this is actually intentional on the side of the Obama administration, that in many respects, in terms of the gangsters coming in and the illegal, you know, immigrants, and many of them we don't even know who they are, including the diseases, this is the way that Obama wants to force middle-class America and conservatives to submit. Is it a punishment?
I don't know. I really, you know what? It's hard for me to understand what Obama's trying to accomplish, because I got a feeling, even though we're seeing something in his left hand, he's got to have another trick in his right hand. We saw Benghazi. Nothing has happened about Benghazi. We saw the girls being kidnapped by the Boko Haram. Nothing's been said about that. We've forgotten about everything that's going on all across the world with the Muslims, with Islam, all of the murdering going on with all the Christians. And then we have this happen to us. It seems like it's some way to distract us, to keep us busy here with the one hand working while the other hand is doing something else. What about what's going on with the rest of the world? Again, Obama has his hand in that. Look at what's happening in Iraq. You've lost it. You've lost Iraq. You've lost it to the Islamic monsters, okay, terrorists. They now have weapons. They now have chemical weapons. They now have oil fields. Now we're being told they're the richest that there are. So yes, we're being told to submit. We're being told that you're going to take it, and if you don't stand up and say something about it, then you deserve it. Those people stood up, and again, this was not something that they do professionally. Even though the other side bust in professional agitators, they bust in their people. La Raza bust in guys with brown shirts wearing machetes saying, we're going to make sure those buses get through. Can you imagine that? You're standing out there, you're just a person who lives in Murrieta, and all of a sudden the brown shirts from the Raza show up with machetes, wearing machetes on their side, with their faces covered with bandanas to intimidate. But the people still stood their ground. They simply said no, they did it peacefully, and they're going to continue to do it peacefully.
Ernie, what motivated you as an individual to organize this, to lead, be one of the leaders? And what do you think is the significance of this new patriotic grassroots movement?
Well, you know, I've always been there for the people. I've always been standing there for the people. And when you see the people getting abused by our government, when you see the government having no rules, but the people have to follow rules, your heart goes out to the people. And when I saw that they were about to be overrun by this new immigration issue, the first thing I thought about was get out there and just, all you can do is protest. And it was me and just a couple other people. Patrice Lyons was one of them. And we went out there with just some signs, and we just made them. It was just two of us out there, just two people. Then a third person showed up. Then the next day, we protested again, and we had about 10 people. The next day, we had about 50 people. So again, but it's all about caring. The people driving by, you know, they're living their lives. They don't know what's going on. They really don't care. So it only takes a few of us to really get together and to stand strong and to make sure that America is not lost. Some of us cannot be silent, and I will never be silent. I will always stand for the people.
Thank you, Ernie. Let me get to this issue that I've been thinking about and studying for years of my life, the way that evil camouflages itself with innocence. So, for instance, you see Hamas and how these terrorists hide behind children, women, children, but it's the children. And then when Israel tries to defend itself, and unfortunately, inadvertently, children may die when the Israelis are trying to defend themselves and Hamas is hiding behind children, right? Then Israel is demonized as the child killers,
Correct.
right? But we know that it's the evil terrorists hiding behind the children. In this case, again, we see something very destructive being perpetrated by the left, and yet it's the children. And if you're against these open borders and these illegal immigrants coming in, you're somehow callous and you lack a heart towards suffering children. But again, it's the tactic of these evil leftists that are camouflaging their whole destructive agenda, again, with innocence and the face of children.
And that's what's happened. I mean, it's been the children. When we're at the rally, you heard the people screaming, "They're children, they're children." That's what you heard from those on the pro-amnesty side. They're children, they're children. They were just chanting and screaming it. They're just children, they're just children. And so again, and that makes you start to feel a little guilty. But you really need to, like you said, you got to look through that and realize that this is an issue that our government has set up. This is an issue, again, to make the people give up all of your rights, give up all of your freedom, give up all of your free thought. And don't forget, before this ended, Obama was just about to send out his militarized police force to come and remove all of the protesters. We heard that the Border Patrol had told the federal government they would not support that, and that's the only reason that the federal police force did not show up to remove the protesters.
And Ernie, you know, and we do know who are the real child abusers. It's the people that manipulate and exploit children for their own political agenda and put them into the crossfire when good people are trying to defend their own society. So when the Israelis are trying to defend themselves, Hamas puts the children into the crossfire. And in this particular situation, I think it's the same thing. The radical agenda and destructive agenda of the left, and they're the ones exploiting the children when America is simply just, and Americans are simply just trying to defend their own society.
And that's what you're going to find. Our media, all it does is put the children on the front page of the newspapers, put the children on the front page of your TV station. And that's what you see. You see children, but this is not about children. This is more than children. What kind of America will we have with no borders? What kind of America will we have with no culture? What kind of America will we have if we don't care about our own people here? And so we do say this. We do say that we as Americans have to take our country back. But when we say that, we don't say it with prejudice. We're saying it that we need to take our country away from those who don't care about the freedoms, the culture, about the life of the American people.
Ernie, earlier you referred to black patriots in America. You are, I think, one of those people. You're not an Obama supporter. What is it like to be a black patriot and how you're treated by Democrats, by the left, and by the media?
Black patriot is treated horribly by the media. We're treated horribly by actors in Hollywood. We're made fun of by every actor. We're made fun of by every comedian, every musician. You're made fun of by the Democrat Party, but that's okay because we are waking up. We're slowly starting to get the message out. You saw that the video that you played, it has over 200,000 hits. A lot of those were black folk who didn't even know this was going on. And they are starting to ask, what about us? What about us? What about the Hispanics that are already here? What about them? Nothing has happened, but here we are, ready to take on more. Well, we can't even hold on to what we have already.
Absolutely. But how is Ernie White treated by Jamie Glazov, Annie, and Reza of the Glazov Gang?
Oh, Ernie White's treated great by
treated
everybody,
great,
man.
yeah.
You are the man.
Okay.
You are the man.
Ernie, thank you so much for standing up for America. Thank you for leading these Patriots in Murrieta and for all that you do to defend America and the destructive war that's being waged against it. Thank you for defending us.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching the Glazov Gang this week. We'll see you next week. Good night.